was a thing. Did you know there was a battle damage Skeletor?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I did not.
So my cute little adorable daughter, Booyah, from the Harold Wilberforce Sandlin episode, she got battle damage Skeletor. And
That's
then
amazing.
it's so good.
Well, did they fight him? I mean, did they know what to do with battle damage Skeletor and battle damage He-Man?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you about. That's what I want to tell you about. You made a comment, or we made a comment when we were recording this episode. And Tina, if you don't mind, pull up the thing I'm going to tell you offline here and play this little moment now. So here's what I think I'm going to do. The two toys that stand out in my mind this Christmas, I haven't got a Christmas present for my sons yet. I've got two sons. One's 16, one's 12. What if I were to get them the toy from my childhood? The Triceratops Slug, the Transformer Triceratops.
Yes.
And the battle damage He-Man. Like, can you get those on eBay?
Of course you can. Yeah, I already found the battle damage He-Man on eBay while we were talking.
$20.
Yeah, you can get it.
Oh, that's Oh, wow.
Dude.
The face is worse than I remember. But, man, look at his... Oh, this one, some kid wrote Jeff B. on the bottom of it. That's awesome.
You want that one.
That's pretty...
That's the one.
That's going in...
Have another child and name them Jeff B.
Hey, wait, do
Just
I need
so you can give it to him.
Do I need a 2-year protection plan on this 30-year-old He-Man action figure?
I would buy it just to... And then give it as like a certificate of authenticity as part of the present.
Okay.
Also, there's a little something extra for you right over there in that envelope. Go ahead and open that up too.
Yeah.
Surprise.
It's a 2-year protection plan. I know this
plan.
is important to you. You're gonna
Like if the Jeff B scuffs off, they'll write it right back on there for you.
Okay. You remember saying that?
I do now.
Okay. So, I want to show you a thing. I'm going to text you a thing right now. I came home and my wife said, hey, she wants to tell you something. And my cute little daughter said, Daddy, I have to tell you something. And I said, okay, what is it? She said, well, come here. I wrote it down. I was like, okay, all right. And so I went over and I got it. And you should be receiving things in your text right now. Are you seeing them? Go ahead and just describe what you're seeing.
Oh, dear.
Right?
Okay. Image number 1. It says it's a piece of paper folded in half, clearly a note, in pencil. And then the pencil wasn't emphasizing it enough, so there's clearly a switch to big red marker. It says, Dad, plus the name of your son. Then I turn the page, and now it's opened, and there's a note here in child's handwriting. I was playing with the battle-damaged He-Man, and he broke badly. Fine, as much as you need. But scratched out is $100. So originally the fine she was going to propose was $100, but no. Then the second fine she proposed was all my money, but then she scratched that out as well. And eventually mentally landed on as much as you need. Now, I'm assuming that you have more than one sheet of paper in your house, so she could have at any time gathered another sheet of paper and rewrote the front, which said Dad plus name of brother. And then I was playing with the battle damaged He-Man and he broke badly, and wrote down the fine proposal without any of these scratched out former thoughts about fines, but she didn't.
Right.
She just kept it as it was.
Yeah.
So, $100? No. All my money? As much as you need.
Oh,
Just whatever you need for that.
It gets better. Look at the pink 3.5 by 5 index card. Read the pencil side first. What does it say?
Oh, okay. To
No, that's the
Dad. Okay, there's a pink card and it says check and then question mark.
Yeah. She wrote me a check. She
And
wrote
we're
me
gonna
Turn
that over. It says as much. No, it says a lot, all my money, but again, that's all scratched out. And then once again, it says as much as you need.
So she wrote me a check for as much as I need to fix the battle
That's what
damage.
the check says. This is a check.
Yeah. So basically, we made a joke about this battle damage He-Man being impenetrable, and it hasn't been broken for 20 years. And she said, I broke the
Yes.
battle damage He-Man, and I want to make it right. And I walked in there, and she had a Ziploc bag that she's been saving all of her birthday money or Christmas money or wherever she gets her money. I have no idea where she gets it. I've bought some of her teeth from her. It's a whole thing. But she had like $200. And she had a Ziploc bag. She's like, here, you can just have this. Just like whatever we need to do to fix battle damage He-Man. And my son was there, and he goes, oh, he broke? And I was like, I guess so. Can I see him? And she hands him to me. And, dude, he is split in half.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. At the hips.
So when she used the word badly, she meant it.
Oh, it's like somebody tied a rope around the ribs and a rope around the hips and just put it between two mules and pulled the thing apart. It's amazing.
I've never pulled a He-Man apart. Is it one of those that's held together by a rubber band?
Exactly. I was like,
thick
oh,
rubber band that allows it to twist.
I was like, Daddy can fix this. I can figure this out. And I started looking, and I was like, I cannot fix this. This is like
No,
summoning
no.
all.
Many men have tried. None have succeeded. It'll never be the same.
My son looked at it, and he said, and he looked at her note, and he looked at her money, and he looked at her, and he genuinely loved this action figure, man. Like, genuinely in his heart, because this was a deep, meaningful gift from his father. And he looked at her, and he goes, it's okay. I've got an idea. And he just went and super glued it back together. And he goes, I don't need your money. Thank you so much. And he was just the best big brother. It was just a great moment, dude. And there's just so much wrapped up into that. I just wanted to share that with you. I thought you'd like that.
Well, I love the tenderness on her part. I mean, she understood that this thing's important. It withstood 40 years of the passage of time. It withstood being shipped cross country. It withstood Jeff Bezos's high-profile divorce, and it didn't withstand her putting pressure on both sides of it, and the thing broke. And she's old enough and aware enough to know that it was something special and precious, and that part of the preciousness is that it had been through a lot. I just think it's really, really sweet. And I also think that you are a fool for not taking her up on that, because it's $200.
I know. Yeah, thanks for that. I just wanted. And meanwhile, Skeletor laughs from a bookshelf. I have destroyed you, He-Man. You know. I just want to know how she
We
was
can all
playing.
picture it. We just can't do it.
I know, right? Yeah, that's
Yes,
it.
that
That's
was
what I wanted to
awful.
tell you. That was my update, man. I also did get my dad the electric train set.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and me and my son went over and we built the electric train with Dad, and it was really, really fun. And it was way more fun than it should have been, actually. It was like, wow. How was your Christmas? Everything was good?
Yeah, it was great. I got a couple of gifts for family members that I was pleased with. I got my daughter just her color scheme, it's navy and red, like Merida from Brave. That kind of dress and that kind of hair. And the French Open is a tennis event that happens every year. It's a kind of unusual because it plays on a different surface. And so all of the color schemes surrounding the French Open and the facility there, Roland Garros, it all kind of matches her color scheme. I guess she's an autumn, is what you say.
Is it a clay
And-
surface? Is that the...
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
It is. And it's just a really fun event because the ball plays really differently off of that. It rewards a different style of play, and also everybody's just kind of filthy. I don't know. It's just fun. There are these rackets that are limited edition, and they kind of match the vibe of the clay and the style, sort of that leather and navy look. So I got her a racket that I don't know if it's even going to make sense for her style of play, but it just fits her so well. And I was really happy to give it to her, and she was delightful, and she held it up, and the cool clay-colored grip matched her freckles, and I felt like that
Aw.
was a win on Christmas morning. So
Well-
that one made me happy.
Forgive me, I don't understand what would make a racket special. Is it made of carbon fiber? Is it tuned really well? Or the tension in the strings? What makes it good?
Oh, good is kind of relative. I mean, they're cheap material tennis rackets that just aren't good. The shock all gets sent straight to your elbow every time you touch the ball. The weight isn't thoughtfully distributed. So if you just want to go out and whack a tennis ball hard one time, anything from Walmart, $10 will get it done. Buy something from a garage sale. But if you play for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, every little imperfection of that racket is going to add up cumulatively over the course of that match. And if you play all the time for 10 years with a racket that has flaws and isn't a good match for your physiology, there's going to be a cumulative effect there as well. And so, bad racket can get you into tennis elbow or other things. Also, bad technique can do that. But there are tons of good rackets that are out there. So assuming we're using modern technology and good string technology and the racket's well strung and well gripped, then really it comes down to how do you swing? What's your swing style? What do you do with your feet? What are your tendencies? And so it's kind of a fit or a match issue when it comes to rackets. I mean, there are a lot of people right now who would say a Wilson blade is the racket. That's the one that it's just the best racket out there. But what does best really mean? I mean, what does it do when it's in your hand? And so this is a racket that is a really good fit for her in terms of her style of play. And it's also a really good fit for her because it looks rad.
That's cool.
I was happy with it.
You took my brain to a lot of places there. Like when you hit a ball, I have something else I want to bring up today, so I don't want this whole podcast going this direction, but this is what you just did to me. If you hit a ball with a racket and the ball is coming in 90 degrees to the racket, orthogonal to the surface of the webbing, is it called webbing or mesh? What's it called? The net?
Just strings.
The strings. So if it's coming in 90 degrees to the direction of the strings, it's going to vibrate the racket in a certain way because of the different nodes of the racket. It's going to vibrate at a certain frequency. However, when you play, or probably when your daughter plays, I've seen you tilt the racket forward and you don't hit it 90 degrees to the strings. You hit it at an angle so that you can put spin on the ball, top spin. And that makes me realize the vibration inputs to that racket are going to be different. You're going to have different nodes and vibration into the racket when you hit it at an angle. And I've never thought about that until you were just talking about that. That's interesting.
If you reach out your right hand right now at about, say, rib height and just hold your palm to the ground as though you were about to pat a dog on the head.
Yeah.
That is pretty much where the head of my racket is as it is coming past my hip and toward the contact point with the ball a little bit in front of my body. And now just reach behind you a little bit like you're petting a dog, a foot behind you without turning your shoulders.
Yeah.
And now move your hand through like now you're going to pet a dog about 2 feet in front of you. Do you feel the way your palm can't help but open up a little bit?
It's going, my thumb's rising. Yeah.
The path of the racket on sort of just a normal swing, or what they call a ground stroke in tennis, your contact is going to happen right there where the racket's going from sort of flat to just a little more open. And it's weird looking in slow motion, but an interesting thing about it is that you don't feel that shock up your arm. But there's this other kind of contact in tennis called a volley, where you just hit the ball flat out of the air, like a flat pancake racket just pushing toward the ball. And that's different. When you see that happen in slow motion, sort of a flat racket meet a flat ball, you can see the shock come all the way down the racket. And if you're looking real close, you can see it go down the forearm, and you can see all of that energy sort of terminate in the elbow.
Oh, gosh, man. Somebody has done this. They put accelerometers on elbows. They've done this. There's no way that hasn't been done.
What would that do? What does that mean?
One thing I did back in the day is vibrometry. And so basically you have acoustics and then you have vibrometry.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
Yeah.
I'm not making fun of you. I thought you were joking. Vibrometry sounds like something a kooky scientist inventor from 1870 would say to the village people before they laugh. I study vibrometry.
Yeah.
And I believe that if the telemetry of this balloon is... But you mean it. That's actually a thing? Vibrometry?
Yeah, absolutely.
What does it mean?
Vibration physics are fascinating, and it's a dark art, and so you have different modes and amplitudes depending on your frequency inputs and your outputs and the resonant frequency of the materials and different axes. And so at a certain vibration rate, you're talking about sound, acoustics, and then another in other places you're talking about vibration. And so vibrometry is the measurement of vibrations. And so usually you would do that with a triaxial accelerometer, and you get XYZ vibration. It's amazing. And so it's super important for all kinds of military applications. It's extremely important, and it's fascinating.
What would it look like to hook up an accelerometer to a tennis player's elbow? What would that do?
It would be a little hard because of something called impedance matching. And so basically, if I didn't care about ethics or anything and I just wanted pure data because I'm a mad scientist, I would drill a post into the arm, like the bone of the player, so that I could
Oh, I would hate that.
Yeah, I know, right? So I could mechanically couple the accelerometer to the bone. But obviously you can't do that. So what you would do is you would put something on the outside of the skin, and you have what's called an impedance mismatch. So the squishiness of the skin would affect the vibration of the arm. But I mean the measurements, because you'd have an accelerometer sitting on skin, sitting on bone, and so it's the bone that's shaking when the racket hits, and then that would guitar string your ulna and your radius, and then that would end up shaking the bone. And it just makes me wonder what tennis elbow is. I don't know what it is, but
I know what it is. It's something that hurts like a mother and takes forever to get better from.
Yeah.
And makes no sense. You're fine, and then you reach over with your middle finger and pointer finger and thumb and pick up something small like a dice or some keys off the table at just the right angle, and boom, to the moon. It's just electricity all the way up your arm. Ow, 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 ow. And then you go the rest of the day and do all kinds of crazy things and you're fine. But the one thing that tennis elbow cannot abide is hitting a freaking tennis ball. The ball of the muscle, if you take your left hand and reach over to your right hand and grab the ball of your forearm, like the big meaty part on the top of your forearm, that becomes aggravated. And what I understand, this might be an interesting data point for you, is that tennis elbow is actually enough shock goes down to the elbow that there's a little bit of that ligament that holds that muscle connectively over the elbow.
Yeah.
That, as I've had it explained to me, becomes a little bit peeled back, a little bit separated. It isn't quite locked into place, and so it doesn't control that forearm quite right.
Yeah.
And where you notice it on the court especially is when you move up to the net, and now you're not petting the dog by your hip with your palm to the floor. Your palm is like to the wall. Your palm is open to the wall. And you go to do one of those volleys, take a ball out of the air.
Yeah.
And that shock always on volleys goes down your elbow. Seriously, it's like somebody electrocuted you every single time. And then as a player, you just stop trusting it because you just don't believe your arm will work.
Well, what even is this podcast? What are we doing? I'm sitting here thinking.
You worry about that a lot more than me. You really do. I mean, we have roles. I'm the kind of the keeper of where's the pin and where are we here?
Yeah. What's my role?
You are very much the keeper of dang it. We've gone too long without announcing what the thing is. So we're at a fork in the road, and we can go to the left, which is keep talking about tennis physics.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about this specific episode. I'm talking about the No Dumb Questions.
You mean the whole dang thing?
The No Dumb Questions podcast. Like, what are we even doing?
You're just asking that after a decade.
Yeah, it's like existential. Okay. Like, we're sitting here talking about impedance mismatching bones and vibration inputs on tennis racket angles. Why is anybody listen? Thank you to everybody that listens to this podcast.
Can't argue.
I'm grateful, but man, what are we? Man, this would be hard to
sell. What is your answer to that question? I'm curious. No, I'm curious.
I don't know how.
But how would you answer that?
Well, I guess if you were to say, hey, there's this podcast I really like. I think you should listen to it. And people are like, oh, okay, well, what is it? I have answers for some of the other podcasts I listen to. But this one, what would you say? Was this one guy, he, it'd be just really hard to explain. Can we pull up some reviews? I want to know what people are thinking about this. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Are you down with that?
Or we can talk about tennis more.
No, I don't want to talk about tennis more. I don't want to talk about
It's your funeral.
Let's go to Here, let's take a break, and then I want to figure this out.
You're right. It is hard to explain exactly, but I mean, this is supposed to be an episode about like aliens and UFOs and stuff. I don't think we're getting there, dude.
I don't think so
think
either.
that's gonna
I
be
have
the next
4
episode.
Wikipedia pages pulled up on aliens and UFOs, and we got stuck on tennis rackets and battle damage.
And
He-Man.
battle damage, He-Man.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And a check that you're never going to cash. But you asked a second ago, before the little jingly sound, what this is or what it has become. Back in the day, we said that it was a humanities guy from the Wild West and a rocket scientist from the Deep South. This is it's paraphrased, but this is close.
We didn't say
Pick a topic.
We don't say rocket scientist. We don't say that. My mom won't allow that.
Oh, your mom said not to say that.
No,
What do we say?
I don't know. Science guy. I think we said.
Science guy. Okay, that is humbler. You're right.
Yeah.
That is better.
Yeah.
No offense, Mrs. Sandlin. You made it very clear that we don't say rocket scientist, and we're going to honor that. Starting now. And then we pick a topic, and this is how I explain it when people ask me about it. What do you do for? I do some podcast stuff. Oh, what kind of podcast? Well, I do this one with my buddy. He's a the engineer, and I'm a humanities kind of philosophy religion guy. And so we pick a topic, and he sciences it, and I philosophy and humanities it, and we're friends, and it goes where it goes. And usually it turns out to be useful, and if it doesn't, we don't publish it.
Yeah.
And then they kind of laugh and they act like maybe they understand it. I don't know.
Well, what I say is it's about adult friendship. That's what I tell people. I think it's become very difficult in life, in society, to make friends. It's hard. For example, today, I went out of my way to put my kids in rooms with other kids, and we went and played in the snow. It snowed here today. Me and another dad, we went way out of our way to make them have time to have friends. But once you become an adult, that just doesn't happen. You have to get out of your comfort zone.
Are you feeling that more with the passage of time?
I think we're turning a corner, frankly. I think people are starting to understand friendship is important.
Oh, you mean societally. You don't mean you.
Yeah. I think societally, people are understanding that it is very, very important to have friends. I think when we started this podcast, you and I very intentionally decided to become friends. It's not easy to maintain a friendship from such a great distance, but we both put in effort. I think you do a great job of being a friend. You're a wonderful friend.
Same.
And I think we've been rewarded with that friendship. And it hasn't been perfect at all times. I can remember times when I got short with you. I can remember times when you got short with me, and we worked through that.
Thanks for skipping the joke about my height. There was a real opportunity. You could have taken it. You didn't. That was cool.
I don't know. I think that's what the podcast is. It's about what does it look like to have conversations with people in your adult life that you don't necessarily agree with, and have grace, but also value the friendship and put in effort for it. I think that's what this podcast is. That's what I think it is. And we're just modeling that. And we have the added benefit of we get to sit down and talk about it. But I do think friendship's important. So that's my description.
I guess you model something that you do. That is not conscious on my part. Like I feel
No. It's
one of the things that we do as friends is this. I have another buddy. I like him. I care about him. I don't talk to him very much. I would like to make that friendship go places, and we have tried to schedule phone calls.
Yeah.
Like put it in the calendar. We need to talk if we're going to be distant friends. It's gone okay. It's hard to make it happen. And I really like this guy, and it's worth trying to make it happen. He's a great dude. You know him. But one of the great things about this, and one of the things that just weirdly I will always be super grateful to the third chair for, is you, the third chair, have made my friendship with you better, because at least 2 times a month, we are going to sit down, we're going to block out all distractions, and we have a plan to talk about some stuff, but also it's a window of time to hang out with my friend, and we might have to talk about battle damage He-Man, or how my daughter's complexion matches the Roland Garros Wilson style rackets. I don't know when else would that happen, but also, how can I put this? You have always been willing to just go where the conversation goes and not be afraid that like that'll come off as eggheaded or boring or nerdy. Whatever you're interested in, I think you've always felt like is fair game, and there's a good chance that I'll be interested if you're interested, and vice versa. And so it's not different when we're off mics and we're talking about tennis rackets and how they work. And so I think something I really like about the program is it's pretty reflective of our friendship and how we actually talk and what we're into and what's interesting.
Within the last couple of years, I think the podcast has been tested because we had more regular sponsorship back in the day, and there was a financial incentive to get on mics at a certain time.
Yes.
There was, and we don't run many ads anymore. Then that's even changed again. There was, with Patreon, the model of Patreon for No Dumb Questions was set up so every time we uploaded a podcast, we would be able to say, hey, patrons, thank you, and patron uses the language charge the patrons, or the patrons were charged for this is the language that it uses, or paid for by patrons, I think is how they say it.
Mm-hmm.
Patreon made a change. It was every time we uploaded, we got paid, and then that changed, and it's just like monthly, no matter what now. So the financial incentive to upload twice a month, which is what you and I try to do, that went away. And we're still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We're still uploading twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no financial incentive to do that. And I thought that was really cool. And we just kind of did it and didn't really talk about it. And it just kind of happened. And
Yeah, this is literally the first time we've discussed it.
I think that was really cool. That tells me that it's important to both of us. And so I like that. I think that's really cool.
Another thing I tell people when they ask what the program is about is, for whatever reason, I liken it to the old NPR show Car Talk.
Oh, gosh.
But do
Click
you know
and
this
Clack,
show?
the
Two
Tappet
brothers?
Yeah. Great.
Yes. Yeah.
Except they're
I
smart.
thought that was some of the... Well, there is that. Come on. I thought that was some of the best radio ever when I was a kid, and I had to find things on the dial somewhere to listen to if I was driving cross country.
Yeah.
If I found Car Talk, I was like, oh, this is a long show. I am good until they turn this off or I run out of signal and have to find a news station with it on.
Yeah.
Because it's just fun. It was energetic. You can tell they like each other.
Yeah.
That they're okay if the script breaks down, because the relationship and giving each other crap will carry it. And I think people have been really patient with us in the third chair with go off script, like this episode where we're not going to get to UFOs and space in any way.
Gosh, that's going to be a great
all.
episode when we talk about that, dude.
It's going to be great.
I'm going to pull up
I
some
can't
reviews.
wait.
I'm going to pull up some reviews here.
All right.
So
How do we do this in a way where it doesn't seem like we think we're important?
Self-important?
Because this is about to, this has the potential to get stupid here in the next few minutes. We're like, oh gosh, thank you so much. That's so nice. I don't think anybody would have fun with that.
I don't either. But I do want to know. I want to know why people are watching, and I haven't checked in on these reviews in a really, really long time. So I'm on podcast.apple.com podcast reviews. Are there also reviews on Spotify? I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that either.
I don't know.
I'm not very good at my job.
Okay.
So I don't know things like that. I am on Podcast Addict, and it looks like they just lump all the reviews together. So I've got some from Apple and some from the app itself. So we might find some of the same stuff.
The latest one, I'm going to read the latest one that's been written. It's from a few days ago. There have been 2,400-ish ratings. I don't know how many reviews there's been. But the first one says, when you need vicarious friendship. Oh, goodness.
Okay, I found this one. I got it in front of me too.
This is long.
Read it. Let's do it.
All right, so this individual, I don't see a username. It says, when you need vicarious friendship. And it says, I write this after a fun week-long depressive episode where I felt capable of little less than sitting under a weighted blanket playing Diablo 3 with NDQ on my earbuds. I've gone through roughly 3/4 of the backlog, and being the third chair, trademark, for hours upon hours with Matt and Destin has made me, well, a few things. Man, this is already thoughtful. Number one.
Yes, it is.
Jealous. Okay. I grew up watching Scrubs and Psych, wishing to have the best friend relationship like theirs. Just when I chalk it up to Hollywood magic, these two dinguses come along and prove that it's entirely possible. Oh, wow.
Okay, one, we deserved that. Two, do you know what he's referencing with Scrubs and Psych? Do you know these shows?
No.
Okay, that's important to understand the comment.
Okay.
Scrubs has Zach Braff, and they're both white guy, black guy comedies. That's funny. I hadn't thought about that.
Okay.
Zach Braff, and I knew this once. I'm not a Scrubs fan, but they're charming and likable. They do cell phone commercials together now.
Is Psych the detective show where the guy can just read things really well?
Okay, now Psych we actually need to talk about. So Scrubs was very funny. People really liked the show. I haven't watched through it yet. Psych, I would defy anyone to defeat my middle daughter at a Psych trivia contest. That my family adores this program. It was a USA Network show. It came out about the same time as Tony Shalhoub's Monk, the one about the goofy detective who doesn't like germs.
Yeah.
Psych is fantastic. James Roday plays. Hold on, I'm gonna get it. This isn't my show, but my family really likes
Your
it.
ability to recall directors and actors and everything is insane. You know, I'm doing good to get a title of a show, but you know, like the people in the show, and oh yeah, he directed this back in the. Anyway, go ahead. Keep telling me about Psych.
Whatever, dumb things stick for me. Sean Spencer is the name of the character he plays. He's the titular character, I suppose. And then his buddy, what's the guy's name? It's like, it's spelled a little different than what I'm used to, but it's like Drew Hill or something like that. And my understanding is that these guys are just fantastic dudes in the real world. And they, hang on, I gotta put my dogs to sleep. 1 second.
Dude, don't kill your dogs. Are you serious? Dude, you can't put your dog to sleep on the podcast. Matt, do you even have sodium pentothal? Matt, Maya is awesome.
Sorry, I'm coming back. I'm almost back.
You left by saying...
Sorry, dude.
You left by saying, I have to go put my dogs to sleep. And I had this image of you opening a drawer, grabbing a syringe, and being like, that's it, Maya. I was like, what the heck, dude?
Well, I was angry. They were ruining our podcast.
Well,
we have a whole problem out here. It's two Pomskys.
Matt, this is
I got a backyard full of sticks, but the black one found the stick, and now the white one has to have that stick. Can't have any of the others. She has to bark like an idiot.
This is a 4-part review here. I want to keep reading, so land the plane on the Psych.
Okay,
and
but
Scrubs.
no, hold on, man. The Psych thing is really important. Really important. So these two guys, the Sean Spencer character, he goes around pretending like he's a psychic detective, but he's not psychic at all. He's just very observant. And the way these two just nitpick at each other and rib each other and bicker, it's just adorable, and it's endearing, and it's fun and charming, and Psych has its own whole vibe, but it's really a show about the friendship between these two guys. And so it is very, very flattering, whether you know it or not, to have anybody like and listening to this garbage to the relationship as portrayed in Psych.
Got it. Yeah, that's endearing. Thank you, nameless review writer. Okay, so the first thing NDQ makes him feel is jealous for that relationship you just described. The second is it makes them laugh. The exchanges and banter have made me wheeze many times to the point where my kids are asking me what's so funny, but I can't quite explain the nuance of a potty joke stemming from a deep, thought-provoking conversation.
I bet you could.
I bet you could, dude. That's pretty good. I like that. The third thing is this podcast made this individual feel thoughtful. Whatever they find themselves talking about, I don't know, like vibrating tennis rackets, Matt and Destin can pull connections to life, fatherhood, and faith without feeling hackneyed or cheap. Without feeling hackneyed or cheap. Their particular backgrounds bring a different facet to the conversation, and there is genuinely life-changing material hidden in the tomes of fart jokes and folk soda sampling. That's a sentence that individual put together.
That's the first time that particular list of words has been arranged in that way in the English language.
I'm just going to repeat that one line there because it's great. And there is genuinely life-changing material hidden in the tomes of fart jokes. That's good. I like it. All right. And then the last thing, at a time when I needed a simulacrum of human interaction, what does that word mean? Simulacrum?
An imitation of an imitation of an imitation.
Okay.
It's a postmodern philosophy term. Baudrillard, I think, is the guy who came up with that. Sorry, more than you needed. Go ahead.
Okay. At a time when I needed a simulacrum of human interaction because I didn't have the mental energy for meat space, this podcast provided both a way to work through it constructively and thoughts to take with me when I stepped out of the valley. Thanks, guys. No signature. And then the recommendations for the episodes that this individual thinks people might want to listen to. 175, The Goat Emergency. 149, The Truth About Wrestling. 134,
Okay.
Death by GPS. 132, How Would You Know If You Were Brainwashed? I hear a lot of people talking about that one. 095, Our Social Dilemma and Smartphone Addiction. 094, Eat What You Kill Unless It Was a Hamster.
We did an episode called that.
I'm so sorry.
It's wonderful.
I tell the story about you killing your hamster so often. And 089, Anger and Forgiveness on the Internet. What a thoughtful comment. That's a very thoughtful comment. What are your thoughts?
I'm glad you're out of the valley.
Yeah, I'm glad you're out of the valley too. Can we just take a minute to respond directly to this individual? Whoever this is, nameless person.
Yeah, of course. Okay, one, I'm sorry about the jealous part, not because jealous is like inherently bad or something, but adult friendship, I do think it's been weird lately. I think everything's been weird since the dawn of social media, but I feel like it's just getting better now.
Yeah.
Like right now. We did not know how to do this. No human brain has been tested for this. I mean, Jonathan Haidt is writing about this all the time with The Anxious Mind and stuff like that. I mean, we're guinea pigs in a grand historical scientific experiment here. I study the history of thought. There's never been anything like this, like what we're trying to do here. If you've been an adult for any part of the last 20 years, this is unprecedented and bizarre. And of course, we don't know how to be friends during this. I don't know. I'm sorry to hear the word jealous, but also I hope everybody seizes this new day and just goes down and is like, screw it. I'm just going to meet people. I'm going to hang out. I'm going to be vulnerable. Sometimes it's not going to work out. I'm not going to find great friends. Other times I'm going to connect with somebody and I'm going to get a great friend out of the deal. I'm glad to hear that this individual is feeling like they're coming out of the valley a little bit. And I hope there's really fun, rewarding adult friendship on the other side of it.
I agree. One thing I want to say to this individual is I think you're a really good writer. It seems you're a father, and that's important. And I think there is a loneliness to being a father at times.
Why?
It's a difficult thing because your role is to provide, and your role is to kind of be the anchor. Like you're the anchor of the family, and you are providing emotional support to everyone around you. And a lot of times that means you have to take a lot of your thoughts inside. I don't play video games quite like this, but I understand that I felt capable of little else than sitting under a weighted blanket playing Diablo 3, listening to a podcast. I understand that. I think my equivalent to that would be bush hogging, like driving a tractor and mowing a pasture and listening to a book or a podcast is very important to me. But I understand the feeling of I'm working so hard in all the areas and there's not a lot coming in my direction because you're tired all the time, and your wife works very, very hard. I'm assuming there's another spouse here, but I just think being a father can be a lonely place, and that's why I think finding a friendship is important. A lot of times when you do friendship in adulthood, if you have a partner, you feel like you have to have couple friends. Sometimes that's okay. Sometimes and it's just all right, you know. I think it's okay to make an effort to make a friend for you, and it's important for that friend to be someone who will edify your marriage and your fatherhood and your parenting and all that stuff. So if it's a friend that is like just kind of filling your cup but not helping you fill other people's cups, I would say that's not really what you want. You want a friend that's going to, I'll go Jesus for a second, Ephesians 4:29. Let no corrupt communication come forth from your lips, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that those who hear may be ministered to. That's a verse that means a lot to me. You want people in your life that are speaking life into your life, and I think it's good to find friends that do that. So,
How do you find that friend? Like, what would you do right now if you didn't have any, but you knew everything that you know, and your life is exactly like it was, but you just did not have a reliable adult friend? What would you do?
I think about this more than you might think. I see people posting sometime on the internet, and they say, hey, I need a friend. I've seen this in local subreddits and things like that. I need a friend. These are my interests. Would anybody like to do something? I think that is very brave and awesome. I think you could get a mixed bag doing it that way. What I do is I just observe people, and when I find somebody that I'm like, man, that is a great person. Like, I can see what they're doing, and they're trying really, really hard, and I want to be more like them. I think I observe more, and then I'm proactive about, okay, that person is someone I want to be more like. I will then kind of step in to their life and try to help them, or just reach out and just be friendly to that individual. But I think it is important to kind of observe people first and say, like, this is someone that I should be friends with if they will have me. I have several people in my life right now that I really want to be their friend. Like, there's one guy in North Carolina I know very well, and straight up, he just doesn't have time for me. He just doesn't. He's too busy. He's very, very smart. He's smarter than me, and he just doesn't have time for me. And I've put in the effort to try to make that relationship, and every once in a while, I'll get a text, but I know, like, I can't actually pick up the phone and randomly call this individual.
You're talking about NFL quarterback Cam Newton?
No, not at all.
Okay.
This guy's a really thoughtful, he's a humanities guy also. Very thoughtful person. I just really respect him, and every once in a while I'll call him for advice, but he just, it's okay. There's not enough time in life to have all the friends we want.
Do you think he's even thinking about that when you call?
Not at all.
Or do you think he's just like, oh, cool, Destin, awesome, nice to hear from you. Oh, there's a reason for your call. Well, let's talk about it. I enjoyed talking. Take care, man.
Yeah, exactly. But it normally goes like, hey man, I'm in the middle of something. Maybe we can talk tomorrow, or like, hey, call me next week. You know, that kind of thing.
But that's not a sign of not friendship.
No, I would say we're friends, but it's not like a deep, you know, it's more the acquaintance level.
How do you know the difference? What are the hallmarks of a deep adult friendship?
Oh, when there's trust there, you can tell people things that you're embarrassed about.
Yeah, like your third nipple.
Yeah, that.
Stuff you wouldn't want anybody else to know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know that trust will never be violated.
Exactly.
No matter how weird and saggy and poorly positioned it is.
I prefer the word droopy, but yes. but I think that's, so when I see people say, hey, I need a friend, I think that's good. I think that is better than sitting at home and just wanting it to happen and not happen. I think it's also important to go participate. You can find friends anywhere. You can go hang out at the bars. You can do all kinds of stuff. But, like, I think it's important to be picky and be like, this is the friend I want to find. And this is the attributes. They don't necessarily have to believe everything I believe, but I want this person because they're principled. They are honorable. Yeah, I love this person. I'm going to show them that I love them through this stupid little thing I just did for them. If you didn't have a friend, or you could tell that you needed a friend, let's say it that way, what steps would you take? Do you think my ideas make sense, or would you change it a little bit?
I think that's good. Maybe I was thinking of the question a little more practically. Like, let's say I'm under a weighted blanket and have been for the last week, going through a very difficult time playing Diablo 3. And I'm like, enough is enough. I need to come out of the valley. I'm in the market for friends. What would I do? Well, I think I would get involved in things. For starters, think about the best friendships I have. They are all born out of somebody else is making something or building something, and I'm making or building the same thing, or we can run parallel to each other. Especially, I don't know much about female friendship, and I'm really sorry to all of the ladies in the third chair that I can't speak to that better. I don't know it. I don't understand it. I'm not a lady. But in terms of dude friendship, yeah, it seems like something that really works is being able to talk about what you are building. What am I building? a marriage, a family, some other friendships, projects, both work projects, and also I just like to fix things. The gas fireplace insert in my old, decrepit, horrible fireplace that got put in there apparently in the 1990s finally gave out last week. So I learned how to rework all of the gas lines back in there and replace it from scratch. And I accomplished that last night. That's the kind of thing.
Good job.
That it just feels thank you. It just feels like you can compare notes with somebody over stuff like that. And so going out and just being involved in things, sports activities, church, work, volunteering, I don't know. I guess I would say this. For the most part, I think we kind of got into this weird friendship crisis mess in the world through weird mediated electronic relationships. And I think the antidote to it is to touch grass. Go find people, interact in real space, endure the discomfort of that, and you'll see what people are made of. You'll see what they do under pressure. You'll see what they do when things are awkward. You'll see weaknesses that look like yours, and you're like, hey, we have that in common. Bummer, but it's okay. Misery loves company. Ha ha ha. Or you'll see strengths that you admire in somebody else, and you're like, I would like for that to be one of the small handful of people who shape my character. I would love to be around that more. I wonder if I have anything to offer that other person. But I think it's just really tough to carve out meaningful, lasting relationships unless you are in physical space with another person at some point.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that all my good friendships have in common. We do crap together.
I think that's great. It's like atoms floating around, and in order for there to be a chemical reaction and for there to be a molecule formed, I think you have to be within proximity of each other. And so I can think of times when I've participated in volunteer efforts after Hurricane Katrina, for example, or there was another big thing that happened, and a group of us volunteered to do a thing. And we had no business interacting with each other. Just like our paths were too separate, but we all came together for this thing, and we did stuff. And I'll randomly still text these people. And I think that's important too, just checking in and just fire random texts. Like there was a lot of wildfires in California recently, and so just randomly firing texts off and asking people how they are, and that's important. And our friend George, he knows a lot of people that have lost their house and called them and just showing himself to be extremely friendly in a very difficult time. It's an important thing. I want to make one clarification. When I was talking about the guy in North Carolina that doesn't quite have the space in his life for another friend, I can also tell that I am that to other people as well. Yeah. And that hurts. So I have had people.
Why does that hurt? Wait. Why does that hurt?
Well, it hurts to know that I want to hang out with this person more and I can't. There's a couple people that are like, hey, I would like to schedule lunch with you. And we do. And we just don't eat lunch as much as I want. And so it's really good. There's one guy I know here in town named Peter. And we've had lunch several times, and he's just a really cool dude. And I bumped into him randomly this week. And we just started talking about wood-burning stoves, and it was a great conversation. We're in the same physical area, and we bump into each other, and it's great, and we have fun, and we have really good conversations, and we'll randomly text each other at crazy times, like, hey, what did you think about this? And so I think there's room for all kinds of friendship in your life. I think it's great.
Again, speaking to the guy side of it, because I just know it better, it is not masculine to deprive oneself of friends. It is historically, anciently masculine to have a cadre of warriors with whom you attack and navigate life.
Yes.
And also probably got to punch each other in the crotch at least a little bit or something.
Yeah.
There is a degree of abuse and inclusion and joking and harassing and also showing up when things are very difficult that sort of typifies historic male friendship. And I'm lucky enough to have a stack of guys in my life who are like that, but we don't all hang out together very much. And I wish we were all physically closer so that we just go and be places at the same time. I don't know. That's maybe my one small regret right now.
My good friend, and we do life together. There's a guy here locally named CJ. Great, just amazing human. He said it this way. We work with a lot of younger men together, and we mentor them, and we just become friends with them and stuff. And he will look at a guy and he goes, "Hey man, who are your 5 guys?" And they'll say, "What do you mean?" And he says, "You're in a ditch. It's 2 a.m. You got 5 phone calls. Who are you calling to come get you out of the ditch? No questions asked. You got to have 5 men that you can call right now. Who are they?"
I hate that I'm not one of them.
Well, because you're just not close enough.
I know. And yeah, that's what I was just saying. I don't like that. Okay.
Well, I mean, you might be. You might be. Do you remember me being in Alaska and calling you and saying, "Dude, I'm just at the edge of cell phone. I drove to this town. I thought there was a hotel here. There's not. I need you to find me a hotel." Do you remember that?
I do.
That happened?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Solving that.
So I guess that's a really, really good question to ask yourself. Who are your 5 men? Go to your men. And if the answer is, I don't have 5 men, I think it's wise to start working on that. And for me, I mean, church is amazing for that. It's absolutely amazing. I was sitting in church the other day and some guy came in and I said, "What's up, man?" And, he was visiting and they brought him and set him next to me. And they're like, "Hey, this is Destin." "Yeah, just talk to him." the guy just left. The usher guy left. And he's like, "What's up, man?" And the guy told me his name. I was like, what's your deal? What you up to?" He was like, "I don't know. I just felt like I needed to go to church today." I was like, "That's awesome." So
That's brave.
And so
That's brave.
yeah, it really is. And so we just talked about it. Don't know where he was at in belief. Doesn't really matter. But he went and participated. And that was really, really cool. So I would say, who are your 5 guys? I think that's really important.
That's solid.
What else would you do?
If I needed friends right now, I'd go figure out what happened to the ones I used to have and see what's still there. It's like, I mean, this is crass sounding.
Dude, that's so good.
But I mean, what do they say about like marketing and businesses? It's 111 times easier to keep a customer you already have than it is to go get a new one or whatever, right?
Yes.
Same thing. Like, you had friends once. I had friends once. I assume that every friendship I don't have anymore is my fault. I carry those burdens around with me. I think about it at night, and probably a lot of them, people are like, "Oh no, you didn't do anything wrong. Oh, that's right, we were friends. No, just kind of life happened." But to me, I can think of something I said or something I did, and I try to square that stuff up. I don't want burnt relationships in the rearview mirror, but sometimes stuff happens, and you get to kind of a Julius Caesar and Pompeii, Professor X and Magneto kind of impasse where you really care about the other person, but for the time being, it's just not going to happen. Well, if I needed friends right now and I didn't have any, I would go back and revisit all of those. I'd just start checking in, seeing how people are doing, seeing how their life has evolved, where they're at now. Because one of the really cool things about people you've known for a long time, one of the cool things about being friends with you for more than a decade, is you're not some new novel friend to me anymore. You've been with me through pretty much all of my parenting, and you've been there for my life with chapters. You've seen it. You've seen what kind of mistakes I have made, what kind of mistakes I am prone to make. You were delicately nudging me just 2 phone calls ago toward a good outcome with my family that you knew if you went through the front door I might resist. But I saw what you were doing, and you were right. How do you know that? How are you able to hold up a mirror to me? Because the mirror you hold doesn't just reflect me right now back to me. It reflects me for more than a decade back to me. And there aren't a lot of people in my life who are positioned to do that. That is irreplaceable. It's special. And so there's something to be said for eating a crap humility pie and just picking up the phone and calling people who you had a falling out with, or admitting to something you didn't want to admit to before, or seeing if time has healed the wound, even if you're still at an impasse, or whatever it might be, just to see what friendships might still be lingering from another time and another place that are sitting right there waiting to be reawakened.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's amazing. Thank you for saying all that. That's absolutely true. And I think the fast track to doing that is showing yourself friendly to that friend, whoever it was or is. Have you heard the song Old Friends by Ben Rector?
Yes. Is it because of you? Maybe you've played that for me before.
Maybe I played. Maybe,
yes, it is familiar.
Maybe even on this podcast. I don't remember. But basically, it's this song about. I'll just read the first. I'll read the first 2 groups of lyrics here. I can still find Wiley's house, riding on my bike with eyes closed. I could name every girl that he took out, and from my memory dial his house phone. Can you take me back to when we were just kids, when we weren't scared of getting older? Because no one knows you like they know you, and no one probably ever will. You can grow up, make new ones, but the truth is, there's nothing like old friends. And he goes on.
No, I didn't know that song.
You did?
Dude, you didn't even sing that. No, I don't know that song. You didn't even sing it to me.
Are you crying?
No.
Am I allowed to rib you for crying? It's great, dude. And he
that's powerful.
Oh, dude, it's so good. And you can't make old friends. This line is so amazing. And I've got some good friends now, but I've never seen their parents' back porch. I wouldn't change how things turned out, but there's no one in this time zone who knows what inline skates that I wore. It's deep, man. That's really deep. And so I called an old friend recently, and he works at a place, and I've got this acquaintance that really bad needs a job, and I know this guy works here. I was like, hey, dude. And basically, I was like, man, I hadn't talked to this guy in 4 years. I was like, hey, man, how you doing? And I just went straight through the front door. I got this guy that needs this thing. And then I was like, how do I reconnect with this guy? And I know he likes guns, and I've got a really cool gun. I was like, hey, would you like to borrow this? I just let people borrow it. Would you like to borrow this gun? And he was like, what? I was like, yes, I want you to borrow it. Can I bring it to you? What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to co-locate and get physically in the same place as him, just because I care about him deeply. And, we were in a wreck together when we were in high school, a head-on collision. We were in a wreck together. He was driving. He was 15. I was in the back seat. His mom was in the front seat. We almost died. And we have that story together. It's just a really, really good dude. And I need to reconnect. I don't know. I recommend that song, Old Friends by Ben Rector. So.
No, it wasn't the song I was thinking of. But, I mean, how does that not take your head to a whole bunch? Everybody listening to this right now they've got somebody. They're filling that in. Men, women alike. Everyone is filling in somebody in their brain who knows that and who occupies that space, or maybe a few somebodies. Yeah, it's a reminder of, when I'm in a position to offer advice on difficult things in like marriage or whatever, my counsel is always fight really hard. Try, change, figure it out. Both of you battle through this thing because you can't replace it.
No.
I get sometimes stuff breaks. I get it. I don't want to put lemon juice in that wound for anybody. But that's why you should fight for it.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine. But that was a pretty good song. You didn't even read it well, is the thing. Like you were just like, hang a dang a dang. All right, here's a song by this guy fella here. Do 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 do.
Yeah.
Rhymey limerick, lilty lilty lilty, and it was so dang good that it overcame your horrific presentation of it.
Oh yeah.
To get through my emotional armor, and I do not commend you on that.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I've got some old friends, and I'm finding the value of.
You're just gonna roll with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think it's important to take stock of your current friendships and your old friendships, and I think you were incredibly wise to remind us to reach out to our old friends. I think that's good. What do you do when you've got that old friendship sitting there and you know that old friendship would not be good for you? I'm just making up a horrible situation. Let's say you have overcome addiction.
Yep.
And that person will take you back to that place and you don't need to be there. What do you do?
Sometimes the relationships just need to sail downriver, and it's okay. My remarks earlier were not meant to say, if you were ever friends with anybody at all, you should be friends with them now. I don't think that. I believe that life has chapters. There are certain characters who have been part of my life, and it made perfect sense in that chapter, and it doesn't make sense for any variety of reasons, maybe not even their fault, moving forward into future chapters. I have been a bit player in lots of people's stories, and there's no reason for them to come back and try to get me to reprise my role in their life, because stuff has changed, and it's okay that stuff has changed. particularly in the case of addiction and calamity and really ugly stuff, especially if you worked hard to get past a chapter in your life that was busted up. Yeah, I don't think you necessarily need to go sniffing around that kind of thing. But I bet everybody has some dormant friendships that aren't like that are just dormant because of time or circumstance or whatever. I'd leave the stuff that was attached to the worst chapters maybe where it is. Maybe it's okay to let those sleeping dogs lie. But I would suspect that most people have some potential relationships in the rearview mirror that could be revisited.
I think it is important to forgive, even if you don't become best friends with that person again. I think, and you don't have to reach out and forgive. I mean, I think oftentimes that's really good, but I do think forgiveness is key. I think it's very, very, I think forgiveness is key for friendship in general, right? Like if you get close enough to somebody, you're going to screw it up.
Yeah, because then you can just try stuff.
Yes, right.
Yes. If anybody is around anybody at close enough proximity for a long enough period of time, they're going to disappoint the other party.
Yeah.
And vice versa. This is a law
I think
of relationships.
A great exercise is if you and I would just take turns telling each other what we find disappointing about the other one. Things that we've forgiven.
Oh, my goodness. Obviously, yes. Yeah. That's so helpful. That'd be an episode to listen to.
I guess my question still stands. What even is this podcast? What are we doing?
I think I know, and also I kind of like that I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we are at our best when we just pick a stupid topic and car talk it. I really think that's effective and fruitful. I think peppering this thing with the occasional conversation like this, or the occasional little bits or mini segments or rabbit trails in the larger thing, it's good too. I mean, really, this is how our friendship is. Stuff like this, just kind of business, logistical. I mean, how often do you call me or I call you and the first 3 moves of the conversation are identical? We're not even trying to be creative. Hey, dude, what's up? Not much. You work today? Yep. Feel good about what you got done? I do.
I will tell you something you're doing more and more when I call you.
What's that?
I'll say, hey, man, what's up? And you always have something in your mouth, and you're making a joke out of not being able to communicate clearly, like, hey, what's going on? Oh, hey, Matt, how's it going? Oh, you're brushing your teeth. Okay. And you make that joke go way too long.
It's funny that you think that's a joke because it's not. Like, here's what you're actually getting. Because you're right. That does happen.
Yeah.
I'll tell you straight up, dude.
Tell me straight up right now.
This is instructive for this conversation.
Okay, good. Yeah.
You know that you went through a period of getting your butt kicked by school recently.
I did.
And kind of being in the hole. And you had to make a conscious decision to answer the phone sometimes when I called.
Yeah, you're in the butt kicking place. I know.
Yes, your brain was not right to take the call. I could tell you made a conscious choice. This friendship's important to me. I'm going to answer.
Okay.
It might not be my best material, but I'm going to answer.
Yeah.
I have been getting my butt kicked for the last few months, and for good things. I'm in the worky place. I've had big tasks in front of me. I'm getting them knocked out. But if you call and I happen to be cramming food in my face to just rush through a lunch so I can get back to what I'm working on, I'm making the conscious decision to answer because you called, and I want to prioritize the friendship. And as a result, that, not a joke, is why you keep hearing me with things in my mouth. Whatever I'm doing, eating, brushing my teeth, whatever, I'm answering that call. It's destined. Like, I need to keep up with them.
No, I was making a joke out of that. It is actually a thing you do, that, by the way. But I do think you simply pick up the phone, and that's important. When I call, you pick up the phone, and I think that's key. And I think that is a lot of maintaining a friendship. The other part of it is picking up the phone to call.
Mm-hmm.
We both do that too, and it's way easier to not. It takes activation energy.
Mm-hmm.
I think the normal state of friendship is for it to not exist.
Yes, that's the default state. I agree.
And so I think it takes effort.
Here's something you do that makes that easy. I want to tell you this. Something you do that I really appreciate is you've had no trouble normalizing the idea of calling for no reason. Early on, if I'm in a friendship with somebody and I'd like to be their friend, there's a little bit of a temptation to feel like I need to impress you. Therefore, I need to think of something clever to call about. Hey, man, I just saw the funniest thing. Hey, man, what would you think about? And it's clearly just made up. I have very much appreciated that as our friendship has aged, you'll call and be like, "What's up, dude? No, yeah, I'm doing this and this and this. Cool. Yeah, I was just checking in. Sweet." And then we either think of something to talk about or we don't, and we're like, there you are. We just checked in. I just wanted to be sure of you. There you are. Sweet. Like, that's okay. You don't need to invent some stupid reason to call your friends. Just call.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed this, man. Thank you very much.
Dude, what about the UFOs? We had a whole thing. I read a Wikipedia article. I mean, it was going to be great.
It's actually something that I really care about because it goes into philosophy. It goes into science. I'm just going to say what it is. You ready? Von Neumann probes. I said it. I said it out loud. We got to talk about the probes.
Okay. It has probes in the name. I'm in. I think I understand where that's going to go, and I think it's going to be really fun. So let's just do that next time around, and we won't talk about our stupid friendship at all.
I know, right? I do want to thank everybody that has written a review for the podcast wherever. I want to go out of my way to not thank this one individual that... Did you even understand what the person was doing?
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?
Somebody left a 1-star review, but a very kind comment.
I mean, they called you Dustin. I mean, sometimes it just gets confusing. I don't know.
Fun conversations that leave you laughing and reflecting. I've been enjoying the third seat.
Great. Sounds like 5 stars.
The third seat.
Enjoy it.
In this chapter of my life, I just don't understand.
Every single wait a second. Every single phrase of what you're reading me has some little inside baseball nod that betrays a deep knowledge of this podcast. Yeah. And then 1 out of 5 stars.
And 1 out of 5 stars.
It's a really nice review.
Thank you for the review, funny. Individual that left that. Please go check and make sure you put the right number of stars that you were hoping for.
Yeah, if what you were hoping for is 1, that's totally cool. I get it. I mean, I really, really do. Yeah, no, I'm scrolling through these and just seeing phrases and remarks.
I'm going to go read some of these. These are
pretty
humbling. These are incredible, and I'm grateful. Thank you so much to everybody that's taken the time to leave a review. Thank you to everybody that supports the podcast at patreon.com/nodumbquestions.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the thing now. Like that's kind of what we're doing. So thank you for taking the time to do that. I don't know. We just we spend a lot of time talking about how that's not what motivates us. So that was kind of backwards. Shouldn't have done that, I guess.
Yeah, well, there you are. Oh, wait, I found a negative review.
Okay, let's do it.
I need to read it to you. It's
okay.
Important. It says, horrible. Ads that are too long. Very good otherwise. That was written in July of 2021. Well, Kolomir, may I just recommend that you come back and give this a listen. Somebody let them know. We don't really do horrible ads that are too long anymore. Yeah. Horrible ads. We wrote our own jingles,
ads
man.
Great, dude. I really enjoyed doing ads. I really like it.
I did too. They were fun.
Yeah.
And bro, if we'd been allowed to do that whole like gourmet coffee subscription thing, that bit was going to be fantastic. We had like 20 episodes of that written out. It was going to be amazing.
You've had coffee now, right?
Yeah, I had coffee. I was when bought some. I was like, well, not.
This is
fine.
So
great. There that is. I didn't get paid for that at all.
Thank you to everyone who listens to No Dumb Questions. We are grateful. I really appreciate you. And there's a head nod. Like Matt called it the third chair years ago. We're separated by the internet. In spirit, this is really fun. And I'm grateful for all the support, all the help, and the fact that you encouraged me to have this good friendship with Matt.
Yeah, and just selfishly, most of all, that last thing. Thank you for your investment in my friendship with a dear friend.
Sweet. All right. Go out there and make some friends. Get your 5 people.